I guess we're good to go then, huh? Everybody ready?
Ready to go.
All right. Well, I guess I'll just kick it off by saying it's Peake ReLeaf. I'm Sean. Nice to say hello to everybody. We got Dennis and Ashley here. Awesome. Well, I guess you could say some master chefs from Smoke from the Pot. So yeah, go ahead and kick it off, guys. Tell us what you're here to do.
Yeah, thank you again, Sean and Peake ReLeaf, Kevin, for having us. My name is Coach Ash, co-author of Smoke from the Pot and Cannabis grad student.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Haynes, also known as D. Haynes, the author. I'm the co-founder of Greenlight Project and the co-author of Smoke from the Pot.
And yeah, man, we're here to get cooking with cannabis with you guys. We're going to make one of the dessert recipes that are in that's in our book. It's the strawberry kush cheesecake. So super excited to dive into the kitchen with you guys today.
Absolutely. So like I said, we're going to do the strawberry kush cheesecake. One of our favorites. The desserts are always a favorite, from the strawberry kush cheesecake to our candy chocolate chip cookies, the super sweet potato pie. The desserts are always a hitter for everybody. And so definitely excited to come here and actually going to dive into the kitchen with you guys and show you how to make it.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'll tell you guys the ingredients that we have. We have 2 of the cream cheese, Philadelphia cream cheese here. We have 1 cup of the Cool Whip, 1 1/4 cups of sugar, and then we have 1 tablespoon of sugar. This is gonna be for the strawberry sauce. We have some vanilla here, 1 tablespoon, cinnamon, 1 tablespoon. We have some nutmeg here too. This is like a little additional ingredient that I like to throw in. It's not in the book, but just a little secret spice there. And then we also have 1 tablespoon of the canna oil. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Oh, and then our graham cracker crust here. Gotta have that. So I'll go ahead and get started. If you guys have any questions about like infusions, we typically use the canna infused oil. It's an olive oil that we use that Dennis makes. Just because the olive oil goes with a lot of different things, and it doesn't expire as quick as like the butter would. So it's more universal, and a lot of people like it because they can't taste the cannabis when it's in the products. So yeah, Dennis, if you have some tips and tricks that you want to share with them about, how the oil process is for you when you're making it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Ash said, it's a perfect solution when you're trying to think about what to infuse or how to infuse your things. The butter, you can definitely do butter. We also have the recipe in the book for the shortening and show you how to make the infused shortening as well. With the butter and the shortening, like Ash was saying, it's harder to store it. If we had our event or something like that, and we had to worry about if the butter is melting because we had it out too long or having to move everything, the oil is a way to actually just help alleviate all of that altogether. So that's definitely the benefit of the oil. When you're making the oil, it kind of depends on really how much oil you want to make. I would definitely start there, because if you want to make like a personal size, like a really easy size, they have new machines out that you can do, like you do like magic butters and everything else like that. Where when we make them for like events and also just to have a larger quantity. And that one, you just have to make sure you're mindful of it. Make sure you're actually keeping an eye on it. You don't want it to get burnt. You don't want your cannabis to get burnt and it actually end up impacting the color and taste of your actual oil and everything. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on it. That's like our biggest tip that we've definitely learned over the time through trial and error.
So I got a question, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed in the book you guys mentioned that 1 teaspoon is 10 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go for like the shortening, the oil, and the butter for all 3, or?
That's all 3 of them. It is.
Okay.
It's because with us, we usually use like the same. We'll change the cannabis sometimes, but a lot of times we'll use like the same cannabis. So like we all keep everything pretty standard. We try to.
Gotcha.
Just so people are like really good with dosage. Like we dive into dosage and the importance of dosage, and like people knowing what their personal dosage is. That's really very important. So we try to make sure that we keep it as like standard as possible.
Gotcha.
Yep. So now I just mixed up the cream cheese. I'm gonna add everything in here. So we got the Cool Whip that's going in. Then we'll have the sugar that's going in. And it's gonna be sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll add in the vanilla, the cinnamon. We had a question about the shelf life of the oil. So it's usually about 1 year for the shelf life. Adding in the nutmeg. And then with butter, even like when you freeze it, I think it's like around 6 months. So that's one of the reasons why we went with the oil instead. And that's the can of oil right there. And the one good thing about like when you're cooking and making these things at home is that you can create the recipe to your own dosage preference. So like if you have a lower tolerance, you can put a less amount of the can of oil or even the butter or the shortening. Or if you have a higher tolerance, then you can increase it and put a little bit more than what the recipe calls for. And one of the things that we talk about in the book is knowing your dosage. So that's something that's really important, and it gives you the flexibility to be able to create, and kind of be specific with what your dosage is. Versus when you grab an edible, you have if it's 500 milligrams and you know that's way too much, you can only eat a little bit. Versus being able to actually create your own dosage.
Mm-hmm. And just real quick, that kind of goes into microdosing as well, where you can actually like say you do have multiple dishes that are infused as well. When you have the lower amount of oil in your infusions, it allows you like actually the same to actually enjoy the food compared to like you said, if you get like a brownie or edible from the dispensary, you're gonna have like a little bit of like a small piece, or you might overdo it. Like it's a brownie. Nobody wants to necessarily just to have a small piece. Like it's a brownie. So like you can have like when you create it at home, you can have a full brownie, enjoy your brownie, but your dosage doesn't have to be nearly as high as like 500 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're getting a nice creamy consistency here. I want to let it go for about another minute. If you guys have questions, make sure to drop it in the chat or in the Q&A box.
Absolutely. Ashley, I know we're doing the cheesecake, but like I said, I love our desserts, and everybody else loves our desserts as well. Do you have another dessert that you like making more, or that you enjoy more?
Man, yeah, I think the peach cobbler is one that's grown on me a lot. That's one of the most ordered desserts that we have. So making that more frequently, I definitely started to just enjoy the process more. It'll be that, and then the sweet potato pie.
Is that mostly with like the shortening then?
No, we still use in the book, I believe it for the sweet potato pie has the shortening, but we still use the oil just because of the
Gotcha.
efficiency with it.
Yeah.
Actually interchange them. That's another great thing about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me see. We had a couple questions. We have one about the kind of like the shelf life of the dessert once it's in the fridge, and then we have one about prefer oil or butter.
Yeah. For the shelf life for the dessert, it would be whatever your typical shelf life for that actual dessert is. Mm-hmm. Cannabis infusion, it doesn't necessarily change it. So whatever if you had a sweet potato pie that you would have, whatever that normal shelf life would be, that's what it would be.
Yeah. And also, real quick, I was also going to add. A lot of times, the desserts are usually gone like in a couple of days. Honestly, they're usually gone pretty fast.
There's no shelf involved with that life.
yeah. Like we have it definitely, like you said, it's the regular shelf life of the dish. But as far as like once you get to dive in, it'll go pretty fast. And then as far as preference with the oil and butter. Personally, I do like having variety. I do like some dishes. I'm like, okay, this might be a dish that is better with butter. This dish might be better with oil or easier with oil. But I think overall the versatility of the oil always wins out for us. But I do prefer having both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, the oil is, it just, for me, it's more universal in terms of like, if I wanted to medicate my eggs, I could just throw a little bit in the pan. If I wanted to make, just certain things, so where it's just a lot easier. So that's why we use it a little bit more. But
Yes.
either one,
Yeah, I was going to add on to that too. Yeah, it's really just I'm sorry, it's the versatility every time, you guys. Just because of the ability to go from, like in our cookbook, we go from breakfast, lunch, appetizers, dinner, desserts. If you want to infuse anything in your kitchen, it's just the easiest way to do it compared to like having to worry about storing both of them. If you're up for the task, by all means, I definitely recommend it, because then you get the ability to, like, with your desserts, you might be able to add the butter and the shortening compared to having to add the oil to your different dishes. So it gives you the versatility, but if you have the option to do both and you're willing to do both, I definitely encourage you to try them both.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I just tossed, we have some whole frozen strawberries into this pot right here. I'm gonna get the sauce going now that I have the mix all complete, and then I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of water. Just to create that sauce texture and component. So while that's going, I'm gonna add the 2 tablespoons of sugar to there. We'll have that on medium, let it cook.
Can you show the mixture what you have in the bowl?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Can you see it?
Go. Look real, cheesecake like.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
this is what we're going for.
That looks really good. Sorry. You know what ends up happening sometimes as we're diving into our cookbook, because of the versatility, there's 40 different recipes in there. And so, like I said, it goes from breakfast all the way through to your desserts. But we'll come through and you'll find out, like, even if you made something before, just to try something else and add your different things. So like Ashley today is adding in her nutmeg. And that's another secret one that I like to add into our desserts as well. But you'll try different things and you'll find out what works for you. Like you might like, oh, I don't like this, or I like this more and everything. But as you get into the kitchen, continue to experiment and dive into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just tasted this right here. And yeah, we're right where we want to be. So just using a spatula to get everything out of the bowl and into the graham cracker crust.
I would have already eaten the crust by now.
Man, I'm over here like she like we're all in the right place. I'm like, I'm not, like, I want to be over there now. I'm like, man, I knew I should went over there. All right.
Definitely. So just want to smooth it out. And this is really good when you let it sit in the fridge overnight, but it doesn't have to. But just to get it a nice little chill to it. Our sauce is looking good over here. We might add just a little more water.
Let's see. We have a question real quick. We have a question. Somebody says they use herb in their infusion. Elijah said he uses herb in his infusion, finds it getting stronger with the herb taste after filtration. Any recommendations on reducing how noticeable the herb is? Or is it like melting down the concentration? Be better for taste.
Yeah, I think that might go along with like when we were doing the infusion. So one, like what kind of infusion is it? Like, are you doing a oil or a shortening? But when we were doing it with the oil, like not stirring it enough kind of caused it to have that kind of burnt taste, or a little, a little burnt in that sense, to where you're actually burning the herb. And then that causes to be able to taste it more in the actual extraction or the infusion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was alluding to earlier when I was saying just like make sure you're mindful of it. Like that's the biggest thing that we learned. You have to continue to stay consistent with stirring it and make sure that the cannabis isn't just like sitting at the bottom, ultimately just burning. You want to let it to continue to like stir it up and make sure it's actually moving around in the actual pot and everything whatever you're using. That would probably be like our best suggestion, is just making sure that you keep stirring it over the course of the infusion. Hope that one helped. We have another one. Do you have recommendations for a vegan shortening that works well with cannabis infusion?
So we got some of the sauce going here. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water.
Mm-hmm.
You said vegan shortening.
Yeah, is there a vegan shortening that works well with the cannabis infusion?
Not that I know of, but I definitely think you should create it, because I have not heard of that, and that sounds like that like there's a market for that. So,
right? I was like, yeah, I was thinking, I was like, that might be open. That might be an open lane for someone. But yeah, I'm not sure. We could definitely dive into it and see if we can find anything though.
yeah, we've looked into different like vegan alternatives when it comes to some of the recipes that we're making, like the cookies, adding applesauce versus like the canna butter or shortening. So we've done that type of research, but not specifically when it comes to a vegan shortening. Mm-hmm. So whatever that is, you definitely should look into the process of creating that. That's a great idea.
So along those lines with the vegan side, have you guys thought about like anything gluten-free?
Yeah, so
I hate
so
that.
I'm going. No problem. Love the question. It's coming up next. So give an announcement. That's definitely something we have that we definitely want to continue to work on. Is working on vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options.
We actually have some gluten-free options in our book now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Each will tell you if it's vegan, vegetarian, or gluten-free.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's also a big market for you guys too. So definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely sprinkled in there for sure.
All right, the sauce is just about ready. We have the final product of the cheesecake here. How's that look? You guys are
looks good.
Beautiful.
That does. I'm sorry, I was trying to go through the chat. My bad. If we can't let it sit overnight, how long should we refrigerate?
Maybe like 2 hours. You just kind of want it to get hardened a little bit, so a little more solid, because it's a creamy mixture. You want it to just get a little hardened. You could also put it if you only have like an hour or a shorter amount of time, you could do that just to kind of help it thicken up or harden up. Oh, what I was saying is that, so for those of you guys that don't know, we're gonna do a giveaway for our e-cookbook. So people that are participating, sending their questions in, you guys will be entered into the raffle. So keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have another one. So does the potency change in the oil over time? So I think that's what we were alluding to earlier when Ash was talking about as far as like shelf life for the oil. We try to say up to a year. After a year, your potency you can see like a drop in the potency. So within that year, you should be good. And again, it can go pretty quickly as well, depending on what you're actually making and everything as well. But try to stick within that year. You should be good.
It's basically like the same amount of time for flour, for the expiration date for flour. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah,
Where we at with it?
nice and hot over here. I think I'm gonna pour it into the bowl. So there we go, our strawberry sauce. You could also infuse the sauce too if you want to. Adding some of the oil in there while you mix up. We've done an infused sauce before because I forgot to put it in the actual. Yeah, there.
You gotta improvise.
Nice improvisation.
For a knife. Here. Let's try this. All right.
I was gonna say that sauce probably tasted really good with the raspberries.
Yeah, strawberries.
Oh, strawberries.
You can do raspberry too, and like that's another thing too. In the book, we have a section below the recipe where we have some suggested substitutions. So you can do, whatever you want to do. If you want to add raspberries or blueberries to the pancakes or to the desserts, you have to be able to do that. All right. So I'm gonna pull this out. Again, this is with it not sitting, so it's not gonna look super pretty, but I do want to show you guys the final presentation here. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, you didn't get to sit as much.
There we go.
I believe it.
Okay, wasn't that bad. You would definitely let this cool down a bit. So you get a nice drizzle of the strawberry sauce on it with some of the strawberries. I don't have the nug that we had in the picture. Anybody have a nug out there? Can you send it to me? Yeah, oh, you do? Dennis.
Yeah, I got you covered. Got you.
Perfect. Well, yeah, guys. So this is what we have. Let's see. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Can you turn it for it? Turn it for us. Get the full thing. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everything will be nice and solid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you'll be ready to dive in.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Not one to slice though.
Yeah, if it wasn't medicated, I could have a slice. We're still in the middle of the day here out in Cali, so it's not the right time yet. Not yet.
Just take a bite. Is we made it where again it's personal to your dosage. Ashley's tolerance isn't as high anymore, but just take a bite. Just take a bite. Let us know. Let us know.
Yeah. I don't know if that's hot. Looks like it is. Get some of that strawberry juice in there. And then the crust at the bottom. Yeah, I can definitely, yeah. So creamy. So creamy. And then the crust, it just gives it that nice little crunch. Man, I really wish you guys could have some because I can't eat all of this.
Mm. Me too. I wish I could have some as well.
I can't. Oh man. Let me see if this strawberries. Mm. Yep, that's it right there.
Good.
That is
Awesome.
there.
That's awesome. So looks like we have a few questions in here still. All right. So what are your thoughts on using shatter in edibles?
Um, yeah, I mean, if you know the percentage or the potency of it, and then you know how that's going to equal out in terms of the dosage, then sure.
Yeah, it should be fine. We haven't dove into using shatter in edibles. We definitely try to go with the oil or the butter and try to have some of our dishes where you don't have to necessarily taste the cannabis. I know some people actually do enjoy the taste of cannabis, and being cannabis consumers, we're more familiar with different things like taste, has how it smokes and everything else like that. But sometimes people don't want that taste, so we definitely focus on the other side where you don't even have to deal with the taste of it. You really are just trying delicious things. So we haven't really dove into the actual shatter ourselves, but again, like Ash said, as long as you're able to measure out your dosage and be mindful of that, it should be good.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we don't necessarily use it is because, like, from a mass production standpoint, it's going to be more expensive and the potency is going to be higher. And so, a lot of times, especially like at our events, the people that we come into contact with are people who are curious about cannabis and they typically have a lower potency. So, we don't want to have something that is so overpowering to where they don't have a good first experience. That's another reason why too. Um, we haven't had much experience with the shutter.
So actually, quick question for you guys, because I do my own concentrates. I was wondering about that too. That was my question for you guys. Would it be the terps that come out for the flavor that makes it kind of taste more like cannabis?
I'm sorry, I missed it. I was trying to give Kev this shot here.
It's a beautiful shot. Now I was saying, like, if you're using concentrates to cook, would it be like the terpenes basically coming out for the flavor more than, like, say you make a can of oil or a can of butter, basically?
Man, that's a great question.
Because I would think
I
that,
was
yeah,
like,
maybe
yeah.
it's just the flavor would be like from the terps coming out from the concentrate itself, like, probably. So yeah, if you don't like that flavor, then stay away from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. Like we said, we haven't really dove into it, but that's what it seems like, or makes sense that it will be. And like you
Mhm.
said, if you don't like that flavor, yeah, it's just best to stay away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, I'm squeezing some lemon here because Dennis, I don't think he told you guys, but it's very rare that I do medicate unless like look or something like this, or I'm sick or something. And so I'm squeezing this lemon here so that I can have this so that I don't get high right now in the middle of the day. And so yeah, if you guys ever find yourself or know people who are like, man, I'm just so over medicated, what do I do? Any kind of like citrus or lemon concentrate will definitely help counteract that high. Also, too, high doses of CBD can also help bring down that high, or help help you to prevent from going there if that's not what you're trying to do.
Or the best would be a lemon from a pine tree.
Has to be, has to be. We have a couple more questions in here, guys. So, what's the best way to store the butter, oil, and shortening? It's the same way you would store it even if it wasn't infused. Like right behind me, I actually have a few of our jars of oil up there, but we could just have it just like you would have everything else as far as you're storing it.
Yeah, so this is the kind of oil that I use for the recipe here, and yeah, I just keep it out on the shelf like Dennis said.
We got another question as far as when the pandemic is over, would you consider doing live classes? Yeah, absolutely. We've discussed it for sure. Talked about it and talked about partnering with different people as well. But definitely interested in doing our live classes and getting back to our events. Looking forward to getting back to our events, you guys. And definitely looking forward if you guys can make it out to come out and enjoy with us.
I know. I was gonna say what's more important is for the person who asked that question. Are you gonna be at the live event if we come out I can imagine you may be out in Maryland. If we come that way, are you coming through? Let us know. Let us know. Sean will be there for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm there. Because I might get to eat it.
Oh man, we want to try everything. Yeah.
Leftovers too. We're like, man, please take this home. Please, we can't. Please.
Yeah, I think people started to catch on to that as well. Like when we had our events, definitely everybody wanted to stay to the end. They were like, you guys want to sit home whole things? Like sometimes we'll make a lot of different things just to make sure that we had that variety and let people dabble and get a chance to taste everything. At the end of the day, yeah, some people went home with some nice things sometimes. And so yeah, definitely come through. All right, so we have another one. Is it more beneficial to infuse the sauce instead?
Yeah, so one of the benefits to doing that is like, say if you're gonna have a party or you're gonna create this and you're gonna be around people who don't medicate, by infusing the sauce, you're able to create, like, the regular cheesecake, they can enjoy that. And then by infusing the sauce, if whoever wants to participate, they can drizzle some sauce on there, and then they're able to also have their medicated dish. So that gives you a little bit more variety with infusing the sauce.
Agreed. We have another one. This one was, I'm not sure if the camera angle is, if everybody can see the camera angle where the food is, but just so we do have another angle for that one.
Yeah, you're good, Kev. You got my shot, right? Yep. All right.
We have another one. Somebody else has some kind of oil already, and they're asking for like fun New Year's recipes.
Oh man, let's yeah, man, this whole blip right here. 40 included in it, and so like they go anywhere from breakfast. We have pancakes, French toast, chicken and waffles. Lunch, there's what tomato and grilled cheese, tomato soup and grilled cheese. What else is in the lunch? Salad.
Yeah, we have a few different ones in the lunch. I think the biggest ones for New Year's Eve that I'll probably be thinking about doing is probably be around the appetizers or desserts, which are like honestly are some of our go-tos. But probably make some guacamole, spinach and artichoke dip.
Yeah.
That's honestly go-to favorites. I don't know what type of dessert I'll probably end up making.
Appetizers, some hot wings. I don't know if football's still on, but we have potato skins in there. That's like a little correlation thing, I guess people do,
Wait, what about those fried avocado joints?
Oh man, those joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely should be. Absolutely.
All of them.
You got a lot of options. And like, if there's already like stuff that you would do for New Year's, like maybe you did something last year or the year before, you could do those same things and just infuse it. So you have a lot of opportunity there, my friend.
Absolutely. Another question we have is: has the oil ever turned over? Oh, I'm sorry, it moved. Has the oil ever turned? It hasn't. For us, we definitely use the oil fairly quickly. We haven't had any oil turn on us or anything. I'm not sure if anybody else has had any experience. I'm not sure, Ash, if you remember anybody else saying anything, or Sean, if you've had any experiences as well. But
no, I never had anything turn on me. Oil based, at least. I mean, butter, yeah, of course,
yeah.
but oil, no. It's always been like a tincture. Basically, you can just let it sit.
Yeah, and that's with the butter, which is why we transitioned over to the oil, because we haven't experienced that. So that's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. So another question is the name of the book. Actually, if you can show it again, I have it actually right here. But it's Smoke from the Pot. Oh, yep. Everybody got one, huh?
Kev, drop it in the chat too with the link.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, for the people that ask questions, they're going to be doing a random raffle to give away 3 of our e-cookbooks So thank you guys so much for participating. If you knew about it, if you didn't know, we're excited to be able to share this with you.
Absolutely. Another question is our most popular recipes. We dove into a lot of them. Those are a lot of our popular ones. Definitely, the guacamole is a big hitter. The chicken wings is everybody's favorite. It's in my top three easily. Easily the chicken wings.
So in the
Right.
book, this pot over the recipes that are our fan favorites or super popular. So it's these, the guac, the spinach and artichoke dip. Yeah.
I think the candy chocolate chip cookies, because they're made from scratch. I think those are definitely have the pot as well. But yeah, the ones there's a total of 40 recipes in there, and we could definitely go into all of them. But the ones we keep mentioning are honestly because they're our favorites and everybody else's favorites too.
Absolutely. Appreciate the love, Kelly.
Definitely. What challenges did you guys face starting your journey to become a cannabis chef?
Man, I think it would be like figuring out the dosage amount. So even we had a resource in terms of like using another book to help guide us. But even like when we're in there making it, we're like, okay, we're like, what is this? Like, what is this? How do we divide this? Now we do this. So that was, definitely one of the challenges for me. What about you, Dennis?
For me, it was also around creating the canna oil and learning how to do the infusions. Just because we did have our trial and error where we'll try something and we'll end up coming back and like we weren't paying attention and we weren't stirring it enough and we'll come back and it's like super dark and the oil and everything. We're like, why? Not realizing we had just burnt all the cannabis because it just sat at the bottom of the pot. But just finding out different ways and getting more comfortable with that process was definitely one of our challenges for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Those are some rough days.
They were fun days. We have some great memories, some hot kitchens over the summer. It was fun. It was fun creating the book, guys. All right. So what ideas for recipes can we expect in volume 2 of the cookbook?
Yeah, we're looking to go vegan, vegetarian. So it'll be a lot of those types of dishes. I don't know if you have off the top of the head some of the ones that we had in our note, but like some blueberry muffins or some scones. I can't remember any of the other ones right now.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm going blank as well. I'm gonna grab them for us right now though. But we're definitely going into the vegan and vegetarian realm, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. I know. What was it actually? I'm gonna find them. I'm gonna go grab them for us so we can actually go through some of them. But vegan and vegetarian. So if you guys are vegan and vegetarian or interested in trying these different dishes, because for me, I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but I do take time where just to try to be healthier and like more conscious and everything. I will take times where I might go like a couple weeks where I'm just doing all vegan and vegetarian dishes, just to make sure that I do dabble in that as well. And so, and like I have my cousin who's definitely she's completely vegetarian, and so like just dabbling in everything. Like she's interested in writing a cookbook as well. So having conversations with her to see just a variety that's out there and everything. But that's where we're looking to go with it next.
Yeah, and that one will be CBD focused. So yeah, excited about that. Let's see, how about some good gifts for cannabis chefs? Man, so we did a joint session. So we have a YouTube similar to you guys. I saw some of the videos on or WeTube, like Dennis likes to call it, where we talked about good gifts to give, good cannabis gifts to give around Christmas time. That's not directly answering the question, but just a little relations to it. But yeah, as a chef or someone who cooks, man, I would love, some nice like some cutting boards or some like really good utensils. Um, what do you think, Dennis, for a cannabis chef? Because I'm like,
I mean, a great gift for a cannabis chef is the magic butter. If you're looking to do something
Yeah.
that's just like real easy, you know, like I said, we do it differently just because we do like mass quantities. But if you want to get something for somebody that's doing something at home and just wants to like dabble into different infusions, a magic butter is like an awesome gift for anybody.
Yeah, they have the Levo too.
Yep.
That one would be good. Cannabis. I'm sure they would love some cannabis.
It's always a great go-to. It's always a great good one. Um, but yeah, like honestly, a lot of the things that you would get like a regular chef or anybody else in the kitchen, a cannabis chef is going to love as well. Anything that you have that you would get as far as like measuring, um, blenders, making everything easier, food processors, all of it is essential when you're actually diving into it. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we're still like we make the oil and the can of oil to make it real easy, but we're really just cooking some of our favorite dishes and introducing people to learn how to do the different infusions and how to like be mindful of their dosage. But as far as cooking, we're definitely just hopping in the kitchen and cooking like a lot of the other chefs as well
Yep.
with just extra sauce.
Saucy.
All right, we have another one. What's been your favorite strain to use?
Um, Purple Punch.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we like to use like hybrids just to kind of have that more balanced effect. Um, and so that's what we've been using.
Also, because we were doing our events, you don't want to necessarily do like an indica, a strong indica. Our events are definitely going to be are always lively. The our events are always a lot of fun, like the music blasting, DJ there. But like we had our can of Christmas and everything else like that. So we definitely have it where we definitely want you to be alive and up some.
In the chair.
All right. So, what are some good tips for serving infused food in a social setting or party whenever the pandemic ends? For us, definitely marking it. That's like one of the biggest things. So, what we do is we get like this green sticker, and we'll put that on all of the dishes that are actually infused. Because again, like Ash said, sometimes you definitely want to have the dishes that are infused for everybody, but you sometimes you want to enjoy it, or somebody might come that isn't looking to be as heavily medicated or anything, and they can still enjoy some of the food that's there. And so making sure that you're mindful of it and labeling everything. So even if you walk away from something, if somebody else comes up to it, they aren't thinking this is just anything. They actually know that it is infused.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your top 3 rules in the kitchen when cooking with cannabis?
That's definitely number one. Just like what he mentioned as far as making sure that you mark it. It like during when you're cooking and also after. Because like sometimes, people will come in the kitchen, oh, let me try this, and they would have no idea. So that's definitely one of the top ones in terms of being responsible. And then at the end, making sure that it's marked or, in a specific or a special container. The second one I would say, no kids in the kitchen, just specifically for that reason, as well. And then you have one, Dennis?
Always be mindful of dosage. So getting back to it, like I said, we definitely focus on dosage and making sure that people don't overdose and end up with like a bad experience or anything. So being mindful of dosage when you're looking at the entire dish compared to like smaller servings and everything else like that. But being mindful of dosage is of utter importance because like a lot of people who have tried edibles can tell you about their horrible experience that they've had on edibles. And we're not trying to give you that experience. We're trying to kind of actually walk you through it and introduce you to an enjoyable experience with edibles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
For someone, I got another one real quick. For someone wanting to get into the cannabis food industry, what piece of advice would you give them?
I always say like whatever it is that you want to do involving the cannabis industry, checking your local state and city or county guidelines as to what that looks like for cannabis, because everywhere is different. Everywhere has different regulations. So just making sure that you're in compliance with what it is that you want to do, and seeking out different resources after that.
Yeah. In addition to that as well, definitely check your local and state regulation and everything, but also just being mindful of the different opportunities and the variety of opportunities that you have within cannabis industry in whole, but even just with cooking in cannabis. So not everybody has to go and open up a full restaurant. You don't have to you could do like a food truck. You could do like a food truck. There's different options that you actually have. You can look to do edibles that you have in the dispensaries. You can look to do a lot of different things. So just being mindful of that and not pigeonholing yourself into like one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So what's one way you turn people onto your cannabis infused food?
For us, it was throwing events. Um, we like to have a good vibe around us. We typically create a good vibe, and we like to be around people. So throwing our events where at the event we showcase our recipes of the infused food, and that's actually how the event sector of the company got started, just from looking to have this tasting event to showcase our recipes. And it's like, oh man, this is a really good thing. This is successful. Like people had a good time. We gave away, had some goodie bags at the end, and we're like, oh, we should do this again. And so that's one of the ways that we've been able to turn people onto our infused food.
Absolutely. I'd say that, and also just educating people on the different types of foods that you can have. Like a lot of people know about brownies because that's like your typical one. But when we started talking about infusing chicken wings and things like that, people are interested. People want to know more. And then also being able to educate them on what happens when you may have had like a bad trip, like if you experienced it before, and like some people are like really just turned off by edibles and don't really want to do it. Being able to educate them on dosage and being able to talk to them about microdosing and getting them through that is actually something that's helpful as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Where do you see the cannabis food industry in the future?
Endless possibilities. Uh, Food trucks, hotels, restaurants. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity.
Honestly, I don't even know if I would say we're at like the tip of the iceberg yet. Like we're in LA. I think there may be like one restaurant. Like we're barely getting started. So the future of cannabis infused food is, like you said, is the possibilities are endless. We're barely dabbling in it. It's like if you can do anything with food, anything that you could think of that is happening with food, you could probably infuse it and it'll be a thing soon. When people ask what's the ratios, what's the best way to convey that? To convey the ratios? Are you talking about within the can of oil, I believe?
Yeah, so we do 10 milligrams a serving. Yeah, so 10 milligrams a serving. So, if like, okay, I can usually consume 20 milligrams or 15 milligrams, then you would just, I'm sorry, 10 milligrams a teaspoon, which is one serving. So then you incorporate it in the recipe as follows. So like 2 teaspoons would be 20 milligrams, teaspoon and a half is 15. So yeah.
And then we typically recommend that you start with the 10. You start with the 10 and kind of see what it does, and how you're like impacted individually. Because like we talk about different dosage and different tolerance levels. Say you're at like a smaller tolerance level, that 10 milligrams might be really a lot for you. Whereas that 10 milligrams for Ashley does 10 milligrams. She's good. She's not touching anything else. She's done. Whereas I'm going to want mine a little bit more infused. I'm going to need a higher dosage than the 10 milligrams to get to where Ashley's at.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say, like with our patients here, we usually recommend, start down at 2 milligram, work your way up, figure out what's going on with your own endocannabinoid system. So
yeah, it's like if you've consumed before or not, like it all varies. Like every person is definitely going to be different. So yeah, like it could definitely be on an individual basis. How do you properly strain the oil to get the plant material? So what we usually end up doing is we use like a regular strainer, and then we'll use the, why am I going blank on the cloth, Ash?
The cheesecloth.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll use the cheesecloth to actually help grab the plant as well. And from being able to do that, like folding it over like a few times, but being able to do that, we haven't really dealt with too much plant in it at all. That's been able to like actually like catch all of it. How do you ensure even distribution of potency in infused batch?
Is that like within the edible or within the extraction itself?
I'm gonna think edible. Correct us if we're wrong, but I think we're talking edible.
Yeah, so within the edible, we use it as like a whole. So for example, I put 1 tablespoon. So there's 15 milligrams as a whole in this. There's no, extremely precise way to know that there's gonna be 2.2 milligrams in each slice. But knowing the whole number and then dividing that up, it can kind of give you a general basis of, okay, this slice may be 3 milligrams or 2.5 milligrams. So there's no exact precision, but by using it as a whole and then dividing it up with the servings, that can get you close to the accurate number of figuring out the dosage for the serving.
Absolutely.
All righty, guys, before we cut out, I just want to actually shout out to you guys. So if you wanted to reach you guys at the Greenlight Project via email at info@glp420.com. And if not, if you need any other questions answered to Peake, would be at info@peakereleaf.com.
Yeah, thank you.
That's about it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.